How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to another episode of The Geeky Gentleman, the podcast for all your geeky needs, fashion, and lifestyle tips, all rolled into one perfectly packaged podcast. In today's episode, I'm talking about the upcoming release of the film The New Mutants and how Marvel could possibly be adding it into the MCU. Alrighty then, enough said, let's jump right into the podcast. Okay. So after watching the latest trailer for The New Mutants, I'm not gonna lie, to me it actually looks good, and even I'm surprised I'm saying that. I mean, after seeing the trailer and everything, I actually just really like all the actors that are portraying the New Mutants. Like, the minute they were cast, I was like, okay, I like the people they've chose. And I'm really just so happy that they actually kept them from their native countries with their accents. Minus Sunspot. He didn't necessarily sound like he was from South America, but I'll forgive it, and maybe he actually does, and just in that little clip that he speaks, you just really couldn't tell. But, you know, they made Rain Scottish and Ileana Russian, so I'm happy about that. One of the things that has really bothered me with the Marvel films is that they overly Americanize their characters and they take away their accents. For example, Halle Berry Storm, X-Men, you know, in the first film she had an accent, and then every other time you saw her thereafter, she had no accent. It was completely gone. Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow has never, ever sounded Russian in any of the Avenger films. I mean, in the first Avenger, she was speaking Russian for like a hot minute, and then that was kind of it. And there are those who would argue, you know, she's a spy, so she got rid of her accent, so, you know, she doesn't sound Russian anymore. But, you know, we all know she used to be a Russian spy, and she used to kill people, so she just doesn't have to hide that fact anymore from her friends who are the Avengers. So I don't know why she's still trying to hide the fact that she's Russian. And, I mean, we all saw the trailer for the Black Widow film coming out, and everyone sounds Russian in that film, but her. And even now, Marvel is slowly stripping away Elizabeth Olsen's Scarlet Witch's Eastern European accent, and it's pissing me off to no end. Keep her Eastern European, Marvel. Just keep the ethnicities in there. They're there for a reason, and it's better that way. But I digress. Now, The New Mutants is the last remnants of the X-Men films from 20th Century Fox before the Disney acquisition. Some people didn't even think this film would see the light of day, especially with all the delays. But now it seems that Marvel is finally happy with how the film is looking, and who knows, maybe with all those reshoots happening, they might make it loosely tied to the MCU. There was talk on like an official confirmation that New Mutants was going to be in the MCU on some D23 newsletter, but since then Disney has removed it from the website, so, you know, maybe it was a little too early to announce it, maybe it was just a whole lie, like, we don't know. It was there for a hot minute, you can find it online if you Google it, but it's not there anymore. But if The New Mutants is actually a good film, I know it's hard to believe that Fox could make a good superhero movie after the entire mess-ups with X-Men, but if it actually performs well in the box office, I wouldn't be surprised that Marvel decides to bring it into the MCU. With everything that Marvel has going on in Phase 4, let's see how Marvel could bring the New Mutants into the MCU. Dani Moonstar, aka Mirage. Dani's mutant power is the ability to manifest people's fears or desires as realistic illusions. So theoretically, could Dani have created the illusion of the Demon Bear, who's the main villain in the film? Or even more, could the entire scenario the New Mutants find themselves in be an entire illusion created by Dani? Marvel could even say that the New Mutants have been in the MCU all the time, but were just secluded off somewhere stuck in Dani's illusion. Ileana Rasputin, aka Magic. One of the New Mutants that we're going to see is Ileana Rasputin. Now, for those of you who have no idea who she is, she's actually the younger sister of Colossus, who most of you already know because of the X-Men and Deadpool films. Now, Ileana is a super powerful mutant, and she has a range of superpowers, such as sorcery. She can use magic and spells. She has some eldritch armor, which she can summon, which is this mystical armor that increases her protection and physical strength. She has a soul sword, which is basically Ileana focusing all her life force into this powerful sword that has a wide array of mystical attributes. You can actually see the eldritch armor and the soul sword in the trailer for the New Mutants. But the power we're going to be focusing on right now is her ability to teleport. In the comics, Ileana is a powerful teleporter with the ability to teleport through time and space while passing through a demon dimension called Limbo. Now remember Limbo, because that's going to be important later. During her youth, she had trouble focusing her powers and would accidentally find herself teleporting through time when she was only trying to teleport through space. what if her film adaptation is able to teleport across multiverses? That would give a reason to how these actors can easily make it across into the prime MCU dimension with Ileana teleporting them there. Or maybe she senses a tear in the fabric of reality and uses that as an opportunity to escape in a post-credits scene. A tear caused by Wanda Maximoff, aka the Scarlet Witch. So we know crazy things are happening with the Scarlet Witch, with her upcoming Disney Plus series WandaVision and starring in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which I really think should still be called Doctor Strange and the Scarlet Witch in the Multiverse of Madness. It's long, I know, but I think Scarlet Witch deserves the credit. Either way, we know that Wanda's powers are growing to such an extent that she is warping reality. The use of Wanda as a plot device to bring the New Mutants into the MCU isn't that strange, especially by comic book standards. We know there are so many different universes in the comic books already, and the MCU is establishing that in the films as well. Perhaps as Wanda descends into madness and starts to really mess up with the multiverse, she somehow merges the multiverses together and brings the New Mutants into the main MCU universe. Stephen Strange, aka Doctor Strange. We know Doctor Strange will be dealing with the multiverse in his next film. We also know that Nightmare may possibly be the main villain in the film. In the comic books, Nightmare comes from a dream dimension and has the ability to draw power from the psychic energies of the subconscious minds of dreaming beings. But what if instead of the dream dimension, what if he comes from a demon dimension called Limbo? There it is, guys, Limbo. The same Limbo that Ileana passes through when she teleports, and which is also the demon dimension that she eventually becomes the ruler of. In that way, we can see a scene where Doctor Strange senses Ileana because of her magic potential and brings her forth into the main MCU. I actually really like the idea of the New Mutants coming into the main MCU because of a connection between Doctor Strange and Ileana, or Wanda and Ileana. Because Marvel has a prime opportunity to bring 3 of the most powerful sorcerers in the Marvel Comics into the MCU and actually have them interacting on screen. In the comic books, both Wanda and Ileana have been tutored in their magic potential by Doctor Strange, so I find this team up very, very exciting. And there you have it, gentlemen, some pretty fantastic ways that Marvel could easily bring the New Mutants into the MCU. You know, if the film doesn't suck. A big thank you again for listening to another episode of The Geeky Gentleman. I would be forever grateful if you guys took the time to drop me a review on my podcast. Feel free to drop me a DM on Instagram, I'm at DriftingDecal. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on my ideas of how the New Mutants could be popping up in the MCU. If you want more content from me, feel free to visit my blog at www.driftingdudes.com. And until our next podcast adventure, I will talk at you guys later. Bye.